Hi, and welcome to Order of Operations with parentheses part 2. This time we're going to look at something a little bit different. It's something called nested parentheses. Sounds funny, right? Well, it's not any more difficult. We're just going to follow our rules. Now you're probably looking out here and you're going, what are those funny box things on the outside? I mean, come on, that's kind of weird looking, right? Well, this is what we call a bracket, and brackets are just like parentheses. But we only use them when we have parentheses inside parentheses. When we do this nested parentheses thing, the outside parentheses, we make brackets. Okay? That's just one of those math things. So, let's take a look, and we'll look at how we can do this with the order of operations. So, as I always start, of course, with grouping symbols. So I'm going to start with my grouping symbols. And when you have multiple grouping symbols, you're going to start with the innermost grouping symbols. So in this case, I got to deal with the 56 divided by 7 plus 4 squared. But if you look, this is like a whole expression with multiple things happening at once. Within parentheses, within grouping symbols, I have to follow the order of operations. So if I'm looking at this, what's the first thing I need to do? Well, I need to do exponents. So I'm going to start with a 4 squared. And 4 squared is 2 4s multiplied together. So 4 times 4, which is 16. I'm going to bring down everything I haven't used. And it's still a lot of it. Okay, and don't forget the outer brackets. Alright, so I still have grouping symbols on this inside. And within this inside, I have to deal with multiplication, division before addition. So 56 divided by 7 is 8. And 8 plus 16 is going to be what I do next. And I can finally get rid of those parentheses. So 8 plus 16 is 24. I still have the minus 5. I still have the brackets on the outside. Last step is to go ahead and subtract that. And that 24 minus 5 gives me a final answer of 19. Not too scary. Just remember that if you have multiple things happening in grouping symbols, you're still following the order of operations. You're just doing it inside those parentheses. Okay? Or whatever grouping symbol it is. Let's take a look at some more problems. Okay. Alright, you remember we did some stuff on fraction bars. So now this is fraction bars that has a parenthesis in it. So let's go ahead. It's the same thing. Remember, I'm going to do the numerator first and the denominator. And then when I get done, that fraction bar means to divide. So if I start with the numerator, I don't have any grouping symbols in the numerator, but I do have an exponent. So I'm going to take care of my exponent. And 5 squared is the same as 2 5s multiplied together, and 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to go down here. So I'm left with 4 times 25 in the numerator. Okay, for the denominator, following the order of operations, I have grouping symbols. So the first thing I'm going to do is do the grouping symbols. So that would be 7 plus 3, and 7 plus 3, of course, is 10. And I haven't used my square yet, so I'm going to bring that down. All right? I only have one operation, one thing happening in the numerator and one thing happening in the denominator, so I can finish up. 4 times 25 is 100. And 10 squared means 2 10s multiplied together, so 10 times 10 is 100. And remember, my last step here is that bar means division. So I'm going to go ahead and divide, and 100 divided by 100 is 1, because you have 100%. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next one. This is another example of this nested parenthesis thing I'm talking about. You got parentheses inside parentheses, so the outer ones, they make brackets. It's like a parenthesis, but they made it all blocky. Okay, kind of like a rectangle edge. All right, so let's take a look. I've got grouping symbols inside grouping symbols, so I got to start in the very middle. I only have a 7 plus 8 in there, so I'm going to go ahead and just take care of that. All right, and 7 plus 8 is 15. Okay. Remember, the 2 right outside the parentheses means to multiply, so that's 2 times. Okay, I haven't used my 90. Okay, next step, I'm going to deal with multiplication or division from left to right because I don't have any exponents. So that becomes 2 times 15. I have to do the multiplication before subtraction, so 2 times 15 gives me 30. Again, if you can't do that in your head, you can go off to the side over here and just multiply it out. Just don't do it in the middle of the problem because it's going to get you confused about what's going on. So we want to make sure our work is nice and neat and clean, but certainly I never have a problem with you going off to the side to do calculations if that's what you need to do in order to figure out the problem. Alright. And finally, Now that I've got my 30, I brought down the 90 minus 30. Well, 9 minus 3 is 6, and of course 0 minus 0 comes out with 60. All right, your turn. Okay. What I would like you to do is I want you to try these two problems, and you're going to hit pause when I tell you to. You're going to try these two problems, and then when you're ready, you're going to hit play again so that you can watch me go through it and make sure that you're doing it correctly. Okay? Great. I'm going to wait. All done? Great. Fabulous. Let's go. Okay. Now, if I take a look at this, this is that fancy nested parenthesis thing I was talking about. So I've got parentheses inside parentheses, and when I have that, then of course the outside ones are going to be brackets. It's a fancy way of making a parenthesis, just squaring it off. Alright, so I got to start with grouping symbols. So within the parentheses, or the brackets, I've got a grouping symbol. So I'm going to start here. There's only one thing happening, so I just go ahead and do 2 times 9. Okay, and 2 times 9 is 18. I haven't used the minus 3. I haven't used the 8 plus. I'm going to keep going. Remember, with the order of operations, for addition and subtraction, it's whichever one comes first from left to right. And in this case, it's the 8 plus 18. Okay, and 8 plus 18 is 26. And 26 minus 3, oops, gives you 23. That would be my final answer. All right. Let's take a look at the last one. Looks like I rubbed that off a little bit. I hope that's okay. Alright, so again, I've got a fraction bar, which is a grouping symbol. I need to deal with the numerator and the denominator, and then I'm going to divide it. Okay, so within the numerator, notice that I've got a grouping symbol. So I got to deal with this stuff first. And within that, I've got multiple things happening. It's all crazy. Alright, so within this grouping symbol, I gotta deal with exponents first. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is 6 squared. Remember, that means 2 6's multiplied together, which is 36. So I'm gonna go over here. Okay, hopefully I won't run out of room. Okay, and then the denominator, pretty simple. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Alright, now within this, I'm still, fraction bar is a grouping symbol. I've got the grouping symbols in the numerator. I got to take care of that. Within that, I've got to do division before I do addition, because it's first in the order of operations before addition. All right, so 36 divided by 4 is 9. So that would be 14 plus, and that would be 9 plus 9 divided by 2. All right, 9 plus 9 is what I'm going to deal with next, because it's still in the grouping symbols. So that would be 18. So that would be 14 plus 18 divided by 2. So I go ahead and do 14 plus 18, and 14 plus 18 comes out to 32. And that 32 divided by 2, 16. Alright, I hope this helps you understand how to deal with parentheses a little bit better. Remember, you can always watch the video again if you need to. And good luck with everything, and I'll see you next time.